The Private Label Pod with your host Paul Mooney, brought to you by Private Label People.
You just listen and leave the rest up to us.
Welcome to the Private Label Podcast with me, Paul Mooney. I will be bringing a series of some short and some lengthier conversations to you, our listeners, over the next few weeks. I'm really looking forward to interviewing some of the guys behind Private Label People and finding more out about them and their journey. I know they've been working very hard on everyone's behalf, so I think it's great that we can sit down frequently and keep all you guys updated on what they've been doing. Hopefully you find it enlightening, insightful, and occasionally even a little bit of fun. Today's guest is someone you may know well. He is Mr. Research himself and key player at Private Label People, Mr. Ali Rasool.
Get involved, have your say, ask us a question, or leave us a voice message by heading on over to privatelabelpeople.com/podcast.
So Ali, thank you for joining us. I want to start with the question everybody wants to know the answer to. What is Private Label People?
Well, Paul, Private Label People is a platform for private label sellers, Amazon sellers, where we provide education and insights into all things private label. We also have live calls, live in-person events, and also online workshops. And we also provide services for private label sellers for product sourcing and account services. So, for example, nobody likes doing reports. You know, we take that on ourselves to do the reporting for people, put it in a way that is readable and understandable. Anyone can relate to it. Anyone can pick up their reports and see it in black and white. And we also provide education and assistance and action points around that to allow people to sell more efficiently and effectively.
It sounds great that you're giving some assistance to people, especially with reporting, because that's a part that comes across whenever you talk to a lot of the members, is that they struggle with that element. So is that something that you found over the years? Was reporting something that you would have struggled in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as we go on, you'll probably find out how much of a novice I was whenever starting out, and reporting was one of those things that was just A, boring, and B, didn't know how to do it. So it was like, because it's such an integral part to anyone's business, regardless of what niche you're in, or if you have a bricks and mortar shop, you know, looking at your reports and knowing what to do with them is key. And we're here to provide that service.
Okay, Elaine, so I want you to tell us a little bit more about your background and about how you started off. And I'm sure, you know, everybody started off somewhere, but how did you get into private label and how did that come about for you?
Yeah, so I guess it was started back in 2018, I believe, is when I kind of started or found out about private label, or even just selling on Amazon. At the time, I was working as a security guard at Heathrow Airport in London, and just completely dissatisfied with the career and wanted to make something of my own. Wanted to do something online that allowed me to work from anywhere I wanted to, and it seemed that private label selling on Amazon was that vehicle. So yeah, I mean, 2019 would have been the date of launch, I believe. But all I remember is that it was about a year from knowing about private label to me actually placing an order. So a lot of procrastination happened in that year. But long story short, that product I still sell today, amongst a number of other products as well. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting start.
You're working in Heathrow, as you say, and I'm sure you're working some nasty shifts. You know, I know it's obviously an airport and it's open late at night and early in the morning, and you've got a lot of time probably in your head where you're thinking about starting this private label business, but to actually go and do it must have taken, you know, real guts and determination. So were you thinking about it for a real long time before you actually pressed the button and said, right, okay, I'm going to quit my doing a job in security and actually go and start doing this full time? How long did that sort of go on for?
Yeah, I mean, like it definitely took some time to get some courage to launch my first product. You know, like I said, it took about a year for that process. You know, I didn't have any friends or family that did anything like this, so I was really skeptical, like a lot of people are. You know, is this something that is going to work? What if I make a mistake? You know, all of that fear of failure and everything. But yeah, I mean, slowly but surely started making those sales on that first product, and it was all about that first product. Once it made a sale, once I made that profit, it was like, wow, all I need to do is just rinse and repeat, and that's exactly what I did. Reinvested as much as possible on future products and built it that way. So it definitely took some time, but in terms of leaving the airport, I'd say it was a couple of years after that story. And I mean, that was definitely the goal. Good thing, it wasn't as simple as like a quit your full-time job and go this way. Luckily, we had a bit of leniency at my old job where I went half hours, part-time. Allowed me to kind of venture off, but at the same time have some stable income at the same time.
My experience of people who work in private label is that some of them don't even tell other people that they sell on Amazon or that they have a private label product. And I'm not quite sure why that is, but did it, whenever you went home and sort of said to your mum and dad or your friends, I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to do this, was there any element of, what are you doing, or why are you doing that? And how, did that then mean that whenever you got your first sale and started making profits, that you were, really happy about that and wanting to tell them, no, actually, this is going to work for me?
Yeah, do you know what? My parents still don't even know what I do for a living. They're really old school, so they
neither do mine.
They really still don't fully understand it. I think they're starting to understand that, okay, we have stock and we do sell products in a store. It's not a physical store, it's on the internet. But in terms of like my friends and stuff, they've been very supportive. I found, I think especially this generation that, a lot of people buy online, they know that it's a thing. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation 20 years ago. It would just be complete weirdness to say that I sell products somewhere else that's not a physical store. I think it's interesting that, people don't really say anything, because it's hard to say, right? It's like, what do you do for a living? I sell products on Amazon. It's always that first question, okay, what do you sell? And a lot of people watching or listening to us now, it's like the type of products that we sell. It's kind of hard to explain why two products are not, in the same sort of niche, without having to go into so much detail about our research process and boring everybody about that.
Yeah, no, it's like my dad still thinks he thinks I work for Amazon itself. He thinks I drive a van, and he asks me every day, where have you been today and how many parcels did you deliver? So I totally get it, and it's difficult to explain, but given that vast experience that you have, and obviously you've been doing this for some time, there were obviously key elements in there of things that you found difficult, and you want to help people in terms of making that easier for them. How do you bring that into private label people? What is there specifically about private label people that will assist the members in order to make their chances better of success?
Yeah, I think one thing we're really focusing over the last couple of years, is really the what to sell. We really went into depth about how to analyze the market, how to pick the right products, and the sourcing process, everything from a supplier negotiation down to the logistical part of the bigger picture. We really found that the what to sell, yes, so important, but also as important, if not more, is the how to sell. We've seen over the years a lot of mistakes that have caused great products and great businesses to stop in their tracks due to misinformation or potentially just a lack of education. So that's really what we're focusing on now, is the how to sell, how to really report onto your products, but look at the reports and see what story this is telling us, when and when not to use PPC. When and when not to optimize the listing. All of that is so important, and that's something that we're really focusing on now.
Great. And the guys that you have teamed up with in private label people, obviously they have some good experience also. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the people you're working with?
Yeah, it's really great. We've got a great bunch of people here private label people. So myself, just really focused on.
You're the best.
Yeah, I'm number one. That's why I'm up first. No, I mean a lot of people that would listen, be listening to this would know about my background and how I love the research and the sourcing process. So that's definitely in my area, but also with Emily as well. I've been working with Emily now for some time, and she's great, and it's great for us to just geek out on products. Something that our better halves, who are also in the team, just are bored to death by. But that's definitely our area. We've got Mickey, who's in charge of all the logistical aspects to the order, and also SO Stephen, who's more into the whole process and program operations.
Great. And you just mentioned there you work with your other half, and Stephen and Emily obviously are a marital couple as well. Does that get difficult? Because I'm sure some of the people listening, they work with their partners in terms of their Amazon business. How do you find that? Is that a difficult thing for you? Are you used to it now, or is there anything you want to tell us?
I don't think I'll ever get used to it. I don't think anyone would. There's definitely a balance that's needed, especially when you live with the person that you're working with as well. So there's definitely some challenges there as well. But I think, like anything, really, you got to have a balance with everything. Having an unwinding process in the evening. We learned early on that we shouldn't be talking about orders at 10 p.m. at night. That's definitely a no-go. So there's definitely some improvements and some healthier directions we can go in. But yeah, I'm going to say it's the easiest thing, but it's definitely working.
Great. Okay. Well, it's always great to talk to you, Ali, and I think it's great what you're doing, obviously, and that vast experience you have, and you've had some mistakes, but you've done really, really well. And there's a lot of people listening that want to get to that stage and haven't got there yet. And I think it's really excellent as well that we can sit down frequently and chat things through and do it in a sort of a podcast format where people driving home can listen to it in their car, maybe when they're going home from their job, which whether they think it's a dead end job or it's not so bad of a job, but they're hoping that they can quit it someday or keep it running at the same time as their Amazon business. I don't know, but I think it's excellent that we could sit and do this. What do you think people can gain from listening to the podcast in regards to just taking home little tidbits every day? Do you think it's just a nice thing to be able to tune into as opposed to watching a stream where we go into more detail? Or
yeah, I think it's kind of interesting actually. The fact that we're actually just normal people that hopefully people can relate to us because we are just normal people. Back when I was first starting. Just watching the videos and the education, you assume the person on the other side is just a lot smarter than me, or for example, I had to retake my GCSE maths, and you think, wow, how the hell is this guy calculating numbers on orders when he failed his GCSE maths the first time? All of that baggage from the past, it took some time to really understand. It's like, wow, actually anybody can do this if they really put in the effort. And hopefully that comes across, is that just, if I could do that, anybody else can do it.
Absolutely. And I think it's great that, you're a living embodiment of that, if you like, and that the rest of the guys on the team also are that. So it's great that they've got that help here. So thank you, Ali. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Get involved, have your say, ask us a question, or leave us a voice message by heading on over to privatelabelpeople.com/podcast.
Okay, so it was great to be joined by Ali there, and I think he gave us all some great insights into his business and his journey. And I think it's excellent that we have people like Ali and other members of the team that will be joining us on a frequent basis, and we can feed that information back to you guys. I guess what we want from the podcast is for you to be able to listen and to take little tidbits from it and to understand what we're doing on a week-to-week basis and how we're trying to assist you in becoming successful. And to be able to do that, we have to be a little bit different, right? Because you could listen to all sorts of podcasts. I know there's millions of them, but our podcast is about you. It's for you. We want your feedback. We want your help to help us to give you the answers that you need. So I guess what I'm doing is opening up a floor for you guys to feed the information back to us. So thanks once again for listening. We're going to be doing a lot more of these, I hope. Hopefully the feedback from you guys is good. And I don't know who the next guest is going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be somebody that's going to give you just as good information as what Ali gave us today. So keep an eye out. We'll be bringing the next podcast to you very soon. Thank you.